Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. I thought I'd share another tutorial today, and this one is for this easy and adorable Christmas present pillow. It's easier than it looks, and all it takes is some basic sewing skills. So if you'd like to see how I made this pillow, stick around and let's get to the video. For this, you're going to need a pillow form or a pillow you already have laying around, your measuring tape, your main pillowcase fabric. I used a thicker woven fabric, and the fabric for your bow. I used a sort of crushed velvet that I already had laying around in my stash, and of course your thread. To start off, measure your pillow from seam to seam. This one was 17 inches, which I think is a pretty standard pillow form. Since my pillow is 17 inches, I'm going to cut an 18 by 18 inch square. If your measurements are a little different, just make your measurements that you cut 1 inch bigger than the pillow size itself. If you have a different size pillow and have questions, send me a message. I'm always glad to help. There's my 18 by 18 square. Now I'm going to cut a rectangle that's 18 inches by 13 inches. And a second rectangle that is 18 inches by 11 inches. So we have one piece 18 by 18 inches, one piece 18 by 13 inches, and one piece 18 by 11 inches. Now on to the bow. I want the base of my bow to be the same size as my pillow. So I'm going to cut two pieces that are 18 inches by 5 inches. Next, for the main bow part, I'm going to cut this 20.5 inches by 10 inches. You'll also cut a piece that's 5 inches by 8 inches for the center of the bow. So now you should have two rectangles that are 18 inches by 5 inches. One rectangle that is 8 inches by 5 inches, and one that is 20.5 inches by 10 inches. We're going to start with the longest rectangles and fold them in half so that right sides are touching to make a long tube. And sew this tube closed with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Turn it right side out and do the same thing to the second piece. You're going to do the same exact thing with your biggest rectangle. Fold it long ways, right sides together, and sew a long tube. There's a trend here. Lots of tubes. You're going to turn this right side out and place it on your table with the seam facing up. Bring the two ends together and sew them with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's not going to matter what this looks like because it'll be hidden in the finished product. The original seam is hidden inside and you have an ugly seam on the back, but that's okay because it's going to hide. Now on to the last tube. Do the same exact thing you did with the others. Fold the last rectangle long ways, right sides together, and sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And turn it right side out. Now we can start making our bow. Find the middle of the bow piece and push the top and the bottom of the middle together to squish it all to the middle. Lay one of your long tubes on the back of the bow so that you can wrap the middle piece around and it will all stay together. Now you're going to sew these two back pieces together as close to the bow as you can get. You won't be able to see it after you put the bow on. Trim off your extra fabric, and now you have what looks like a pretty little bow tie. Now you're going to pin your remaining red tube vertically onto your pillowcase. Find the center where you want your bow to be and put a pin in that spot. You're going to sew this down with a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each end and also tack it down in the middle. You won't be able to see this once you put the bow on. Now you're going to do the same thing with your top bow piece. Tack it down on each end 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and also under each bow flap as close as you can get to the center of the bow. And now the front of the pillowcase is all finished. Time to work on the back. You're going to fold in the long side of your fabric 1/2 inch. I have fabric that won't fray. If you have fabric that will fray, fold it in twice. Then sew this down with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And do the same thing for your second piece. Now we're ready to put it all together. Lay the front piece of your pillow facing up on the table. Then you're going to lay the 2 smaller rectangles right side down on top of this piece. Make sure the 2 seams you just sewed are overlapping each other in the middle. Now you're just going to sew a 1/2 inch seam all the way around. Turn it right side out and push out those corners. Now you can stuff that pillow in and see the finished product. And there you have it, a cute little Christmas present that can sit on your couch all season long. This video was part of a Christmas DIY challenge started by Kayle and Anna. Their channels are linked below, as well as the playlist for all of the DIYs in the challenge. Thank you, Kayle, for inviting me to do this with you. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're visiting from the challenge playlist, welcome. I hope you decide to stick around and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.